Okay, guys, so previously looked at this question 26, talking about opera performances and how reducing the cost is going to have no effect. Hopefully, guys, this question, the answer was clear, and hopefully my explanation has made sense. But now, guys, we move on to the next question of the same paper. So let's read this together. This health services should find better ways to take blood pressure readings for patients thought to have suffering from high blood pressure, hypertension. One third of patients thought to have high blood pressure may actually have white coat hypertension, according to a new study. White coat hypertension means that a person's blood pressure is high at the doctor's surgery, probably due to anxiety, but normal in everyday life. In the study, patients said to have hypertension had the blood pressure measured in a normal environment. More than one third of these patients' blood pressure were in the normal range when they were at home or participated in usual activities. It is worrying that patients are being treated with drugs with some negative side effects to reduce high blood pressure, which they do not actually have. Which of the following best expresses the conclusion of the argument above? So, guys, pause the video, give yourself just over a minute. Be sure to be back after that minute where we'll be going through the solution. Okay, guys, so welcome back. So let's go through this. So the first sentence, health services should find better ways to take blood pressure readings for patients thought to have high blood pressure or hypertension. So hopefully, guys, at this point, you can really appreciate this is a really strong conclusion, because you see that word should is really demanding. He's not only saying his opinion, but he's saying everyone else should be thinking the same thing and we should do something about it. This is really strong language. So this one's really strong. And probably already, guys, I probably know this is of the passage where the conclusion at the start and the rest is just fluffed with evidence, essentially. So the next part, one third, as soon as I see this number, I probably don't even have to read it, right? This is just talking about stats. So this is all just going to be fact. So I can just cross this all out. So you can cross that all out. It says white coat hypertension means that a patient's blood pressure is high at doctor's surgery, probably due to anxiety, but normal in everyday life. So here you're just explaining what the phenomenon is, isn't it? So this is all likely just to be fact. So we can just cross that out. And then it says in the study. So again, whenever you see this word in the study, this research, so this is more likely just to be fact. He's just literally stating his observations in the research. So we can just cross this all out. So this is quite a long sentence. So this is a lot. And then it says, is worrying that patients are being treated with drugs with some negative side effects to reduce high blood pressure, which they do not actually have. Yeah, it might be worrying for him. It might not be worrying for me. So it's his opinion. But hopefully, guys, by this point, you can appreciate that it's not. This is just, he's not forcing an idea on some. The first one, because of the strong language, is going to be a far, far stronger opinion. So that's going to be the most opinionated sentence. So this, we can just cross out, really. Right? So hopefully, guys, you can appreciate this is the more easy type where the conclusion is really clear. Now you just need to look at the answer for the most appropriate option. So there's 2/3 of patients that have hypertension are being wrongly treated. Firstly, the reason why this is definitely wrong is the fact that it wasn't 2/3, it's actually talking about 1/3, I remember. So this one can't be it. Then it says more effective ways of measuring blood pressure are needed. Yeah, that one fits quite well, isn't it? So you can consider so far. It says health services could save money currently spent on unnecessary precise drugs. So it doesn't really talk about saving money. It talks more about the fact that we can negate these negative side effects that could potentially occur if you take blood pressure medication without no reason. So it can't be that. Anxiety is the most common cause of high blood pressure. No way does it mention, guys, the cause of high blood pressure, which ones are more common, which ones are less common. So it can't be this one. And then the next one, it says white coat hypertension has no medical significance. Okay, and then so this one is talking about white coat hypertension, but no way is it talking about medical significance. So this one, guys, hopefully you can appreciate. You can also cross this one out. So hopefully, guys, you can appreciate then that the most appropriate answer in this case will be B. So hopefully, guys, that has made sense. And I really look forward to seeing you in the next question. Okay, previously, guys, we were looking at this question to do with hypertension, white coat hypertension, and I need to be careful with diagnosing that condition in the doctor's claim. But hopefully, guys, that has made sense and you really understood why B was the correct answer. Now, guys, we move on to the IMAT 2011 and its series of questions. And we're going to start off with question 13, which was the first sight of a conclusion question. So it says, it has long been thought that birds are much less intelligent than humans and apes, but now it seems that some species of birds have the same kind of thinking skills as apes. Crows can create and use tools and are socially specifically in finding and protecting food. So how can a bird with a walnut-sized brain be capable of such achievements? The answer is that both crows and apes have much bigger brains than you would expect from the size of their bodies. The same pattern is found in humans, parrots, and chimps, all intelligent animals. Which of the following can be drawn as a conclusion from the above passage? So guys, pause the video, give yourself just over a minute. Be sure to be back after that minute, and we'll go through the solution then. Okay, guys, so welcome back. So it says, it has long been thought that birds are much less intelligent than humans and apes. So here's just stating what the general consensus observation was, isn't it? So this is more likely will be a fact, right? Then it says, but now it seems that some species have the same kind of thinking skills as apes. So here he's just literally again stating his observation that some species of birds have the same thinking skills. So this is just all just fact. Then it says crowds can create, use, and socially sophisticated when finding and protecting food. Again, just stating observations. So this is just fact. And then it says, so how can a bird with a walnut-sized brain be capable of such achievements? Right. So here he's trying to kind of put a question out there, isn't it? He's trying to say, okay, so all of this is happening, but how could this be, right? How could this be? So this is more of a rhetorical question. You can't really call it an opinion. You're just putting a question out in open air, right? But I'm just gonna actually we can cross this out. It's not really too important. And then it says the answer is that both crows and apes have much bigger brains than you would expect from the sizes of their body, right? Again, so this one is, you could argue both. You could say it's a fact, or you could say it's opinion. There might be other reasons. He might think this is his answer, but for other people that might be different answers. So I'm gonna consider this as an opinion. And so the same pattern is found in humans, parrots, and chimps, all intelligent animals. Again, that's just his observation. So you can cross this out. So then something along the lines that essentially relative brain size can predict intelligence, especially in the case of birds. So if we look here, apes are not as similar to humans as has been thought. So it doesn't really talk about similarities between apes and humans, so it can't be this. Then the next one says crows are more intelligent than other species of birds. So crows is just an example of the species of birds just an example of the species of birds who are intelligible that he's given, but he's not, nowhere does he mention the most intelligent or more intelligent than another species of bird. Then it says animals that cannot create tools are not intelligent. That's a really bold statement, and nowhere in the passage does it say that, so it can't be that. Relative brain size is a better indicator of intelligence than absolute brain size. That one's quite good. Yeah, we can consider that. And then it says it could be argued that birds are as intelligent as apes. Yeah, it says some species of birds have the same kind of intelligence as apes. Firstly, the reason I don't like it says that birds in general, but here it's talking about specific species of birds. So that's quite a bold statement to make. So it can't be this one. So hopefully, guys, then you can appreciate that in this question, then D would be the correct answer. So hopefully, guys, that has made sense. And yes, we really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Okay, guys, so previously we were looking at this question to do with intelligence, brain size, and that sort of idea. But hopefully, guys, it was really clear then why D was the correct answer. But without further ado now, we're going to move on to question 19. So let's read this together. It says, if the Carnival Committee does not follow the new European regulation, then it may be impossible to guarantee safety. The probable consequence of this would be a heavy fine, which would severely reduce the Carnival fund and could be disastrous for the committee's finances. Either the committee must meet the safety standards or the future of the carnival may be under threat. And then it says, which of the following best expresses the conclusion of the argument? So guys, pause the video, just give yourself over a minute and be sure to be back after that, where we'll be going through the solution. Okay, guys, so let's go through it. It says, if the carnival does not follow the new European, then it might be impossible to guarantee safety. Right, that's quite a bold statement, isn't it? He's saying if the carnival doesn't do this, then this is definitely going to happen. I might not think that. It may be only his fault. So this is, from the get-go, a decent opinion anyway. Right, then it says the probable consequence of this would be a heavy fine, which would severely reduce the carnival fund and could be disastrous for the committee's finances. That might be his opinion, but hopefully, guys, I can understand it isn't as bold as the first one, where it's saying if it doesn't follow this, then this would definitely result. He's just saying the probable, so this might happen. He's not saying it's definitely. It's not really as bold as the first one. So we can cross this all out. Crossing this all out. And then it says either the committee must meet the safety requirements or the future may be under threat. So hopefully, guys, at this point, you can really understand that this is going to be the strongest opinion. The reason why this is going to be the strongest opinion is because it says they must do this. This is a really big conclusion indicator, which just literally topples the top statement, which we originally thought was the strongest opinion. So so the idea of this passage is that they have to meet their safety requirements, or essentially this thing won't survive. So A says the safety at the carnival has reached dangerously low levels. It is talking about, firstly, it doesn't really talk about the safety level, just saying the fact that if it doesn't follow, then there won't be, it doesn't really talk about the safety levels in this passage. So the current safety level, so it can't be that. So if the European regulation are not followed, the carnival may not survive. Yeah, that's quite good, because it mimics what it's saying in the last sentence, isn't it? It's under threat. under threat, won't survive. Essentially, this, you're saying the same thing, isn't it, from that? So this one's quite good. Failure to improve safety could result in a heavy fine. Yeah, so that's really just referring to this fine. That's a really specific part. So it can't be that. And it says a heavy fine could mean financial disaster for the carnival. Again, really referring to a specific part over there, and that's not the main idea of the passage. And it says if the regulations are followed, then the carnival will take place again next year. Again, remember this is of the type that Harry's trying to say that if you must do this for the if here's what he's essentially trying to say is that if you don't do it, then the thing won't survive. But that's not the same as saying if you do it, the thing would survive next year. Remember that this is the idea that if A means B, it is not necessarily equal to if you don't do A, you don't get B. So those are not the same. So you have to be really clear with that, guys. And that came up, that popped up. We practiced that quite a few times. So hopefully you can understand it at this point. So then that means, guys, it can't be this one. So therefore, guys, hopefully you can understand it's pretty clear then that B is going to be our winner here. So hopefully, guys, that has made sense. And yes, we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Okay, guys, so previously we looked at this question 19, talking about carnivals and safety and stuff like that. Hopefully, guys, you could appreciate then that B was the correct answer in that one and my explanation made sense. But now, guys, we move on to the same paper, question 21, 2 questions later. It says, in North America in the 1800s, arguments were often settled by gunfights in which two people stood face-to-face a distance apart and tried to shoot one another. Recent experiments on human response times have shown that people act more quickly when responding to an action than when they are first to move. This supports the view that our brain uses different routes in our nervous system to send messages for intentional and reactive movements. Which of the following can be drawn as a conclusion from the above passage? So guys, pause the video, be sure to be back after that. Pause the video, give yourself just over a minute, and be sure to be back after that minute where we'll be going through the solution. Okay, guys, so let's go through it. It says, North America in the 1800s, arguments were often settled. So here he's just stating observations, isn't it? It's just saying what's the norm, what was the norm of how to settle arguments back in them days. But so hopefully you can appreciate, guys, that this is all just going to be fact because it's just observation. Observation and facts go hand in hand. This is recent experiments. Again, this is just experiments, studies. All this is mainly going to be fact. Person is likely not going to be lying about them. Has shown that people's act more quickly. Yeah, so this is just all just fact, isn't it? And then we have this supports the view that our brain uses different routes in our nervous system to send messages for intentional. This supports for intentional and reactive movements, right? So yeah, again, this is even if it's an opinion, it's going to be super weak. So this is I'll just count this as a fact, to be honest. All right, so you can just cross that out. So this is of the type, guys, where there's really not a clear, strong opinion in there, and you kind of just have to look at all the answers to look for the most appropriate one. So the first option, scientific experiments produce interesting findings. So it does talk about scientific experiment there. Whether you find it interesting, well, that's on you. But he doesn't really talk about, it doesn't really say anything about scientific experiments always produce interesting, and that's quite a bold statement. So it can't be that. Then it says gunfighters are best advised to wait for their opponents to move to fire. I mean, it does talk about that idea there, isn't it? Have shown that people act more quickly when responding to an action than when they are first to move. So it's basically saying it's better to go second rather than first. I mean, so that one, yeah, we could kind of consider this one, but let's try to defeat the other ones and see if B is even defeatable. So gunfighters who wait for their opponents to move first would always win. That's pretty a bold statement. He's just saying people more, and it says people act more. Recent experiments on humans' response times have shown that people act more quickly when responding. Yeah, just say they act more quickly. It's not always gonna. It doesn't really say they would win. It's just saying they would react more quickly. So that it can't be that. Then it says brains cannot control our reactive movement. Yeah, nowhere does it really talk about that. It does talk about this idea of reactive movement and using different parts of your nervous system, but yeah, it doesn't really mention this statement anywhere. And then the next one, humans can be trained to react more quickly. Yeah, not really. It doesn't really talk about anything to do with training reaction times and stuff like that. Innit? So this one isn't it. So hopefully, guys, even though that's not really like a super strong, I mean, this one's quite a difficult one. Even though that's not as really clear that one's definitely going to be the correct answer. Hopefully, you can understand why the other four are definitely wrong, and therefore why B in this case would be the most appropriate answer. But hopefully, guys, that has made sense. Any questions, just post down below. And yes, we really look forward to seeing you in the next video.